Waldorf education educates children to be the best of what it is to be a human being. If all of us had been taught by teachers who intentionally cultivated beauty in a classroom, how different we would all be. And that's what happens in Waldorf education.
Thank you for being here with me, Mary. It's such an honor to be interviewing someone who has been around and a part of this school for so long. You have been a part of the initial Steiner study group. How many years ago? It was
maybe about 33, 35 years ago, yeah.
33 years ago, there was a study group that you joined. And that study group still meets every week to this day and is open to the Waldorf community. Anyone can attend.
Yes.
And you used to be a public school teacher and then later transitioned to being a Waldorf teacher. And your students are in their 30s now.
They're just turning 30 right now.
Turning 30.
Mariah Bauer's birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Mariah.
Yes, and yesterday Chloe Irwin's birthday was. She turned 30, yeah.
Wow. And you're keeping track with your students' birthdays.
Oh, yes. I text them.
That says so much about who you are as a person, but just also like the community nature of Waldorf. And now your granddaughter is attending Waldorf. So you have so many valuable perspectives that I am so looking forward to you all hearing and experiencing. Could you share a little bit more about your first encounters with Waldorf education?
Well, I was a teacher in the public schools, and I loved teaching, and I loved the public schools. But I have problems with authority, I have to say. And I had a problem with the curriculum in the public schools, okay? So I was probably in my mid-30s, and I was always looking around at different curriculums because I was thinking, who says we have to teach what we teach? I was at a teacher resource center in the public schools, and on the wall was a chart of the whole curriculum of the Waldorf schools. And I went over and looked at it, and it said, first grade, fairy tales, fourth grade, Norse mythology, fifth grade, the Greeks. I was like, ancient civilizations. I was like, who are these people? Who are they? So I was enchanted from the beginning, but you have to realize that was a long time ago. There was no internet. And so there was really no way except to go to libraries and word of mouth and asking. And so it was like a treasure hunt, finding out these people. And finally there was a food co-op back then. On the bulletin board of the food co-op, there was a little notice that said, we're starting a Waldorf school and having a study group. Is anybody interested? And I was like, oh boy, am I,
Yeah.
So that little notice on the bulletin board led me to getting to know Janie Newton and all the other people that were starting the school. Janie Newton, Kathy Smock, Claire Williams, they're still around today at the school. I know the same people. Yeah, we're in the study group together. So anyway, that's how I got started in it. And then at the time, I was teaching in the public schools, and I had no intention I was happy they were starting the school, but I had no intention of teaching there because I was happy in the public schools. And so I thought, I'll just copy what they do. And so I tried my best to copy in the public schools what they did. So I helped start something called the Waldorf Cadre. It was a group of teachers in the public schools that were interested in Waldorf education as well. And so we went to workshops out in California and brought back stuff to the public schools in Louisville.
So there were other teachers that you knew who were also having that feeling of like, what is this method? Yeah. And so when you started adopting some of the Waldorf principles and ways in public school, in your public school classroom, What do you remember about shifts and like changes happening in the classroom? Like, what did you notice?
Well, Waldorf education really is more about, rather than the method, it's about who you are as a teacher. And this curriculum lights me up. I can get really excited about teaching Norse mythology, and I love making the chalkboards and finding poetry and doing all the turning it into math assignments. It's just something that lights me up as a teacher, and so I became a way better teacher in the public schools, and that spreads to other people. That's infectious.
Yeah.
When other teachers see somebody all excited about teaching.
Sure.
Yeah. And so it was just kind of word of mouth, and that's how that thing spread. Yeah.
And I'm sure the kids in your classroom
Yes.
were, really responding to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And enjoying learning more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned bringing. It's so interesting to me still, like as a parent, a new parent here, I'm learning so much about the ways of Waldorf.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, I think, storytelling and math.
Yeah.
And for so many people now, those two things may not go together.
Yes.
In the more like traditional schooling sense.
Yeah.
So, could you talk a little bit more?
Well, so the foundation of reading, literacy, is if you go back to the real basics, it's storytelling. It's not, they say go back to the basics, and so they're going to teach phonics or something like that. No, the basics are storytelling.
Yeah.
So when you do storytelling and it comes from your heart, and I'm not talking about reading a book. I'm talking about I learn a story and tell it and work it in my imagination, and then tell it back to the kids who and I spark their imagination. So now there's a human connection, and so we are enchanted with this story. So that's true literacy, and that's comprehension. That's nuances and shades of meaning and making connections between people and stuff, and from there springs the language, the vocabulary, the writing, the reading, and everything else. So it really, that method of teaching goes back to the basics, the real basics. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about this morning on the way to school. Eric, my husband, and I listen to different podcasts and different spiritual teachings, and we like to immerse ourselves in lots of different kinds of information. And we came across that it was like the anniversary of Moses's death yesterday. Yeah. We just noted that on the way to school, and Theo goes, what did you say? Our son is 8.
Yeah.
And he said, I know that guy Moses.
Yeah.
And we were like, what? Yeah. Because, he's not raised in a culture of the Bible or anything like that at home. So we're like, how do you know anything about Moses? Yeah. He's like, oh, well, my teacher has been telling a story in classroom all about the history of Moses. And he proceeds to recount the entire story for like 15 minutes. In detail. We're like, what? Where did this go? This is amazing. But he really felt like the meaning in the story in his heart. I could tell he was really like, this is a big deal. Like this story, which really stood out to me.
So the public schools became more and more like authoritarian, like maybe back in the 90s, it began to head in that direction where they became more, this is the way you have to do things. So that the era of the creative teacher being able to, do things in the classroom, the principals kind of respected you if you were a creative teacher, that era was beginning to end. And I could see that I was going to have a bad ending in the public schools. I said, my time is up here. So I had enough years in the public schools to retire. So at the age of 50, I became a Waldorf teacher, a trained Waldorf teacher. It was one of my wishes. And I'm so glad I did that. And I really wanted to be a Waldorf teacher. So I came over to the Waldorf school and took a first grade class. And just loved it. I loved every single day that I worked there.
So could you talk a little bit more about that process of training to be a Waldorf teacher? What kind of training did you go through?
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done in education. It was 3 summers and then a lot of independent things during the winter while I was teaching, like writing papers and doing research projects and stuff. But the training itself, it was 3 weeks and in the summer, and it was like from 8 in the morning till 6 at night. Wow. And sometimes we had an evening meeting as well, and we had homework. Wow. So here I am, 50 years old, and most of the people in the class are in their 30s. I was like sweating, trying to get everything handed in.
And I'm trying
to really hard.
Imagine someone who's coming from, public school was a little different at that time than it is now, but even still, like the amount of, I imagine there's unlearning to do as a teacher. Yeah. And then learning a new way.
Yes.
In your 50s.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I never looked back. I never ever regretted making that decision. And yet all my comrades and peers in the public schools who I left on a good note from the public schools. Uh-huh. And I ducked out and got into the Waldorf education. They're kind of like, what is that stuff?
Yeah. Who are these people?
Yeah, who are these people? But yeah.
Okay, so you picked up a first grade class. And at that time, is it as it is now where the teacher stays with the classroom until they graduate?
Yes.
Okay, so you stayed with that first grade class into second grade, third grade, fourth grade. Yes. And was there a middle school then?
No, well, they didn't have middle school at that time. They just went up to fifth, and I did first, second, third, and fourth. And then in fifth grade, I had an illness, and I had to address it, and so I could not teach in the fifth grade. It was really sad, but it was the way it happened. Yeah, and I'm well now, so that's good.
So, what was that like going from, in traditional schooling in most places, it's you have a classroom and then for a year and they move on to another teacher or a set of different teachers, but different primary teachers. Yeah. So what was that change like? What did you notice going from that model to this one?
Well, it's a huge advantage. One thing is that because I was a practice teacher, I already had 28 years into the teaching, I could begin habits in the first grade that I wanted them to have, okay? So, for instance, I know this might sound trivial, but it's a big thing. Like children being orderly. You ever see kids who have got a desk and it's stuffed and crammed with, what I'm talking about? Kind of like a rat's nest, and they pull something out and then a deluge of junk comes out of their desk and stuff. Yeah. So you can develop habits in the first grade where you really take the time once a week and everybody cleans out their desk and we admire a clean desk and having all your materials all ready and stuff. So you can really take the time to develop really good habits and really good social habits about how we treat each other and create and I know I'm going to have them for a bunch of years. So I really you do home visits with the families. Yes. You go to their home and you see them in their home environment and they see you, in their own homes. So you become part of their families, you know their grandmothers, you know their car, when they get new shoes, everything about them, their pets,
Yeah.
everything. They know everything about me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That blew my mind last year as our first year at Waldorf when Miss Elise reached out to us with our daughter who's starting preschool and said, well, when would you like me to come visit your home? If you would like, you don't have to. Yeah. And I was just in shock. Like, you'll drive out to our home?
Yes.
Which was such a relief having a 4-year-old go to a new place and not know the teacher. It's generally intimidating, a little scary for a child. And it was so incredibly helpful for our daughter to do that.
Yeah.
So, wow. Yeah, it's something I appreciate a lot as a parent.
Yeah.
So you get to notice the child evolving over time.
Yes.
In the classroom.
So you can plant little things in first grade that you'll be able to embellish later on. And so that you can build on that. You know, like I'm going to make sure that they really do know their multiplication facts. Yeah. You can so you can actually start some things early that are going to build up to those things that you want them to know later on. And not just knowing, but like social skills too. You know, right from the very beginning, you know, you watch your own speech as a teacher. You know, you work towards impeccable speech, meaning that you speak clearly, and you also you're kind in your speech. You know, so that because they're modeling after you in first grade. And so if you hear things in school, you know, you're witness because you're with them all the time. You know, like kids put each other down. So you nip that in the bud from the very beginning. It's the way we do things in here, you know. So you work on everything. They're your children, you know.
Wow.
I know it. If people, I think, really knew what Waldorf teachers really do, I think the school would be packed, you know. But I don't think people really understand what's going on. Yeah,
I don't either.
Yeah,
and I want it so much. The first time we came here on a tour, I was just in dismay that I didn't know about this place sooner. I mean, I felt this relaxation in my body. Yeah. And I couldn't, I mean, I tried to explain it to people. Yeah. I'm like, you just have to go and feel like the connection that's happening in the school. I mean, how is that then? You spend all these years with these kids, and then like, what's that departure like?
Yeah. I mean, well, we have a farm, and while I was teaching, I brought the kids out to the farm a lot. Okay. And so that was a place where we had a lot of memories. Okay. And we camped at the farm and did all kinds of stuff. So when they left my class, which we knew was going to happen, I stayed in touch with everybody. And then they asked, could they come out and camp there in the summertime? So by that time they were in middle school. So they told their parents, that the parents weren't invited. You know, that would be a typical middle school move and stuff like that. Right. But they were like the best ever campers because I trained them, you know. And, so, I mean, they tidied up everything, you know, at the very end and stuff like that. But we would make a campfire and, you know, and you know, there was a creek where we'd take chairs and sit in the creek in the chairs and stuff, you know. Wow. And just talk on and on, tell stories, you know, about old times and stuff. And it was a way to help them temper the next stage of schooling that they were going to get. Because that's not offered everywhere where you have this closeness to teachers. Yeah. So it was a way for them to kind of like touch base with their group. Yeah.
That sounds just like a dream.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, and I have two older stepsons who did not experience this type of education. And just to imagine them feeling that way about their teacher sounds just incredible. That's what I'm hoping for with Theo and Ananda, to be able to have that in their heart and feel like I could reach out to my teacher. I want to reach out to my teacher. Yes, that I had.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's like teaching is pays in gold. Like I'm the richest woman in the world, kind of thing. Yeah. Wow. Because I have all these extra kids, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have all these birthdays to celebrate.
I remember them all too. I thought of a story too. Is that during third grade they have the theme is farming. Okay, and one of the themes is farming, and so at the time we had a farm, and it was within driving distance of the school, about half an hour away, and so we were growing Christmas trees at the time. So I had the kids all plant little newborn baby Christmas trees, Okay. And so they planted 3, and there was space between the trees. So I let them plant other things between the trees. So they got to watch the trees grow. And then when they were in about 8th grade, the trees were big enough to cut down. So they came out at Christmas time in 8th grade and cut their trees down. Wow. Isn't that neat? Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
To be able to see. Yeah. This is the cycle of.
Yeah.
So you're what's the title that you call it for our son's class? You're a helper in there?
I'm a mentor to his teacher.
You're a mentor.
Yeah, the kids call me Granny Mary.
Yes. Yes, which I've really appreciated your presence in there as someone who has so much experience in being with children and other teachers and being able to have that elder holding is really can't wait. I don't want to speed things up, but
life does get better.
You do help me have a more excitement about getting older. So, okay, so you've seen the phases of the school. I mean, it's not easy starting any organization that has a much different approach to things. And so I imagine that the school has been through all kinds of ebbs and flows over the years. Yeah. And I mean, like, how do you view that, like, from your perspective, ebbs and the flows?
So that expression, be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. That's what really Waldorf is, because it's human beings working together in community to, raise these kids, at the school. The school's kind of the center of everything. And we're asking for people to strive. We're asking the kids to strive. And when we strive, we're not very good at it. We get on each other's nerves. We have conflicts. We make mistakes. We don't follow up well. All kinds of stuff happens. And that's the work, The change isn't something like, oh, I'm good. It's not this big, beautiful rainbow that happens. It's actually hard work. Yeah. And so the school has times they have ups and downs, and conflicts happen in the school, and enrollment goes down, and are we going to stay open? And I heard the school was going to close. And that's been over the whole time. The whole time. That little rumor's been going around and stuff. But it keeps going, because there's parents like you that are on board. And they say, oh my gosh, this is so valuable. I'm going to really work at it. And so when things happen, like people get into conflicts or, just different things happen, you're much more open about figuring out a way to solve problems rather than leaving. But in the end, when, we just had a wedding from the class I had, okay? One of my class members got married, and her mother asked her who she wanted to be at the wedding, the guests and stuff, because, of course, you only can afford to have so many guests and stuff. She wanted to have her Waldorf community come. So it was so beautiful to see that, and I watched that, Victoria dressed in her wedding dress and all this stuff was going on. And I look around at everybody and I go, wow, all these people at one time, struggled together and laughed together and cried together. And there was life and death and birth and stuff. So, So,
and now they're experiencing this rite of passage
wedding,
together. Just got chills.
So that's that be the change, creating community. Around educating children. Isn't that neat?
It's so neat. It's it's a value that I hold, and I see so many parents that are here seeing how important it is to have their kids in an environment where there is a mentality of continuity, that this isn't disposable. We're not actually disposable, despite what many signals in society might be giving us right now in this time. And it is so important to me that my kids and me and my husband, like, school is for the whole family too, is how I see it.
It is.
And that's one thing I so appreciate is that we can be a part as a family and in a community that is willing to do hard things.
Yes, it is. It is.
Together.
It is. It is. And you make mistakes, you know, as a mother.
Yes.
Okay? So it's
So
not
many.
this, you're really not allowed to put on an air that you're like this perfect mother. And I think that makes it makes the whole place so much more human. It's kind of like striving to be the best human beings can be. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay, so you have your granddaughter here now.
Yes, finally.
And so, and I know your daughter-in-law pretty well now.
Yeah.
We're getting to know each other better. I mean, what's that like to finally have your family in here, your granddaughter going through
It's the
school?
best. Well, my own children they were too old to come to the Waldorf school when it was founded. There was not a chance that I would ever benefit from the Waldorf school when it was first started. And so I was so excited because I didn't want to pressure my own children to send their kids to the Waldorf school. And so Sonia and Noble wanted to send their kids to the Waldorf schools. But, you know, I do watch them, and so I'm like a Waldorf granny. So when they come to my house, I do a Waldorf, you know, a way of being with them, okay? So they see that, and Sonia's artistic. So she sees the beauty in all the art and everything. So they decided to come to the school, and I was, of course, really excited. But I want to make sure that I don't pressure them as a grandparent. You know what I'm saying? This is so important to me. I'm just like, I have to respect their freedom and really wanting to be here to make sure that they're really on board. But the most beautiful part of the whole thing is to really watch from like this, my point of view now as a granny, how Waldorf really does work, and how the idea that who the child's teacher is as a person imprints on her. Okay, I'll give you an example. So I do storytelling at home with them. Okay, when I have them 2 full days a week. Okay. So, you know, in the very beginning, started out with like a very simple story, The 3 Little Pigs, okay?
Yeah.
And so I would tell the story and I would say, along came the great big wolf and he knocked on the door, and I would knock on the table, okay? And Sula goes to kindergarten with Miss Elise, and she's listening to me tell the same story, and she said, Granny, it's rat-a-tat-tat. And I looked at her and I went, you're right. It is rat-a-tat-tat. Meaning that Miss Elise, her nursery school teacher, is now the higher authority. Yes. So I said, yes. This is so beautiful.
Wow.
So she is now our little messenger out into the world, our adventurer out into the world. And she goes to school at the Waldorf school and comes home with these songs and stories and poetry and little dances and art, the way she does her art. There's so many things about her that she is bringing in from the teacher. And now she's in kindergarten. And she tells stories just like our kindergarten teacher does. You know, you can just see from her arm gestures when she tells a story that this is Miss Kristen. I can just see Miss Kristen putting her arms out just like that. Yeah. It really does work. And it really reflects on how careful and how devoted these teachers are to what they're doing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to watch. So anyway.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
I mean, that, to me, what stands out about that is seeing the translation between what happens in the classroom to what's happening in the home, and then vice versa, like what's happening in the home translates to the classroom, and just acknowledging that the worlds blend.
Yes.
So, fun fact, your granddaughters, Sula and Iris, and my daughter, Ananda, and their friend, Luca, went to a little painting class over the weekend. And it was just amazing. It was this studio where you can drop in and paint. Like, they have a bunch of different things you can paint, things for kids, things for adults. And they were sitting at this really long table, and half the table there was adults that we didn't know that were already there painting. I mean, really concentrated and working on, replicating their image that they got. And then there's the other half of the table with these 4 and, well, Iris is what, 2? Oh,
it's 2.
That's incredible. And so there's 2 to 5-year-olds sitting at the other half of the table. And I mean, as like present and attentive for not as long as the adults. But I mean, they just sat down and like knew what to do. And the adults were just in shock. They were like, at the end, they told me, I just got to tell you, that was incredible. Those children just were able to come in and maintain presence and get into that picture like that. I said, I know. It is incredible.
It is incredible.
And little Iris with her 2-year-old big wide eyes just in focus blew my mind. It's just amazing.
Being Waldorf students, they can actually do things. In the older grades, they knit, they do woodworking. They can actually do things with their hands. They can handle paint brushes and materials, and they don't just make a few marks on something and then something's done. They really have follow through with their pictures, and they put the time into it.
Yeah, I would really like to interview Miss Katie, the handwork teacher, and have her talk about the different things that kids learn when they're knitting. I mean, it's not just like they're just learning to knit. They're learning math. And all kinds of things.
They do.
Could you talk a little bit about the Elder Council here and the role of the Elder Council at the school?
So last year, the school was kind of going through one of their little chaos crises and stuff like that. It wasn't little, it was big at the time and stuff. And so we had this new member of our book group that moved here from Chicago, and he had been a teacher he had actually founded a Waldorf high school in Portland, Oregon, and he was really he's really a good thinker and doer. Jeffrey,
we interviewed him.
Okay,
already.
yes,
you can find that interview as well.
So anyway, he just had this idea. We were sitting around at our book club talking about it. He says, why don't we found a council of elders, like Native American, where we just have these older people that love the school. We have enough time, free time, that we can do things to help out, and that we can just be here to consult, and to interject things that people might ask for or something. We're not here to judge anything or anything like that. And so immediately the response was wonderful. And so there's about, maybe 8 of us. We're all retired Waldorf teachers or parents, founding parents of the school. And we meet once a month. And then we go to a faculty meeting once a month. And so we do usually an artistic exercise. And then we try to put a theme into it that is healthy for the school, and usually it has to do with the times of the year, and we call that the festival routines. The festival rhythm of the year. Like now we're like at the end of winter, and so things are changing, and we're kind of like wanting to. So we were talking about maybe we should do some drumming with a faculty, that kind of stuff. We do that. That's the kind of ideas we come up with. So kind of work with the soul mood of the season and the teachers themselves.
Love it.
Yeah.
I know many other parents so appreciated when you held the 3rd grade class meeting. I guess it was in the winter, before winter break at some point. But that was so helpful, you bringing the biography work into that class meeting with all of us parents. I mean, it's something that I've never experienced before in schools is a teacher intentionally bringing together the parents without the kids to, on a semi-regular basis, to just get a feel for what's happening in the classroom. And what you did so beautifully was help us as parents connect to ourselves when we were our children's age. Yeah. Which, I mean, looking around the room that night, I mean, there were tears in eyes and we were remembering things that we'd forgotten and are seeing in our kids. And it was, things were clicking in the room, and there was so much connection from that in the families. So thank you for bringing that amazing work. And that's something that you're doing more for the school.
Mm-hmm. So I just finished my training to become a biography. I'm a biography worker and social art. And so it works on human connection, okay? Mm-hmm. And so once again, I can't really emphasize this enough, that it matters who you are as a teacher more than anything. It matters who you are as a parent more than anything. So for the teacher to get up in front of at a parent night and just, blather on and on about the classroom, that's kind of an antiquated method, really. Mm-hmm. And so this way I was able to have activities with the parents where each parent got to speak and was heard 4 times in the course of the parent meeting for an hour and a half. And also there was more opportunity at the end with questions and answers. So it's a way to create a social connection with the parents, so that you learn how to really listen to other people, and then also it feels really good to be heard. Yes. I have this favorite saying right now, and I want to share it with you. Okay?
Please do.
It is, being heard and being loved are so closely connected that most of us don't know the difference. Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. And it's so easy, not easy, but it's something we don't think of to do, is to really listen to other people. So that's something we need to practice, I think. And so that's what this biography work ends up doing. So I'm offering biography work to sessions with the Board of Trustees and the office. And then random parents through the school I've done all the early childhood teachers and assistants. And so little by little bringing that to the school.
Yes. Eric had a session with you.
Yes, he did 3. He did 3. Yeah,
three.
He did 3.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He's just really appreciated them.
Yeah.
Really appreciated them. Yeah. So finally.
Yeah.
If you could share anything with anyone listening who isn't currently a part of Waldorf, maybe considering having their children enroll in Waldorf, what's something that you would share with someone considering bringing their children here?
Ooh, that's a little bit... I think maybe it would have something to do with Waldorf education educates children and to be the best of what it is to be a human being, an experience in the arts and the best, the singing and the art and the caring for each other. What is the best we can be as human beings, and in hopes that as when they're older, that they have that to bank on. Yeah. So I think if all of us had been taught by teachers who intentionally cultivated beauty in a classroom, how different we would all be. And that's what happens in Waldorf education. Yeah.
I love it. That's what we've experienced as well. Well, thank you so much for this time. I trust that there's so many gold nuggets in that for the folks listening. And I learned some things too. So thank you, Mary. I so
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you.
Thank you.